Begin from the beginning. Just give me a second. And display settings. Duplicate slideshow. And I will move this one to the side.
Okay. Welcome to the Great Bones Book Club. Here we are in January 2024. Wow. We are here in person with a good number of us. I think there's about 14 or 15 of us here in the room and several of you online. So welcome to you and anyone who listens to this after that. I'm Deb Martine. I am a holistic health educator here at Lotus Blossom Clinic, and I have two doctors. I'm flanked by doctors on either side.
Hello.
Dr. Yaroslav is here, and Dr. David, you'll see his face soon. So we are just filled with information and some great foods to share and all kinds of interesting health information. So let's dive into the therapeutic targets. This is part 4. This chapter is about 100 pages long. So if it seems like it keeps going, that's why I'm making this as useful as I can to each of us, notwithstanding the fact that it is still a great idea to have this book. You'll see that I have tabs, and if you looked inside, lots of markings in this book. It's very rich, filled with great information, useful understandings, useful tips, all kinds of things about what the measurements for these tests should be, what the ranges are, what issues could be causing them to be bad or good as well. So let's go ahead and just say thank you again to Dr. Keith McCormick, who wrote this book in early 2023. It was published. So this is current, very current information. So today we're going to be talking about some short-term monitoring blood tests. Mostly we'll be spending time on the bone turnover markers. Now, some of you may be new to this terminology. Bone turnover markers, does anybody know what one or two of them might be?
Yes.
Yes, Dr. Yaroslav.
So markers in general are the chemical substances in our body that are produced during metabolism or as a signal part, and whenever they are recorded in the blood, like they occur in the blood, we just take a sample of the blood and they were present at that period of time in the blood. We say they are sending us a signal, or they were acting in one way or another, and we can understand that this or that has occurred.
Okay, and we'll find out about 2 bone turnover markers. The primary ones we're really looking for: are we building bone enough? Are we breaking down bone at the same rate, or perhaps we're breaking down too much bone? And what is the level that's going on? A lot of this is very helpful in your treatment plan. And then we're going to actually begin bringing in more here, because we are people who have powers on our own. And so I've got a section here I call ME, or me equals magic. And these are mind and energy capabilities that we have to direct what's going on within our own bodies. We do still need food. We do still need sleep. We do still need nutrients. We do still need happiness in our lives. We still need to know what's going on. And we have powers on our own as well. So I brought in this section, and this time we're going to be talking about how you can personally shift your blood chemistry. Pretty awesome. You can do it quick. Okay. So in today's bone nourishing menu, you'll find we've got a couple of good things in there. There's 2 of them on this front screen here. Jarlsberg cheese, which has some amazing properties you'll learn about. And then that third picture over is the shake. So we're going to be having my bone shake that I make every day.
Yum.
Yeah. So this is just a bit more information about it. Today we discover the power of short-term blood tests, which can be taken at 3 to 5 month intervals.
No, it's
okay.
Error inside the PowerPoint.
Oh, okay. So that may occur from time to time. Well, we got the most of it here. Anyway, the blood tests that we're going to be looking at are the bone turnover markers, the osteocalcin, but it's really cool that you don't have to wait for a year or two to get your DEXA, that's your bone density scan. You don't have to wait to know what direction is your processes are moving. Are you moving toward better balance of the bone building and bone breakdown processes, which is the remodeling is a normal process that goes on all the time. So are you going to be going this way and you really want to bring it back this way, you're going this way, whatever way you're going, and you can find out by doing some of these short-term blood tests. So we'll also explore osteocalcin, and it is essential to ignite the process of your bones being built. So when the bone remodeling process is going on, if it's been broken down, because there was some small, tiny, minuscule fracture that you weren't even aware of, because this happens all the time, then you will know that that's happening and with the blood tests. And then if you have enough osteocalcin, which we'll find out what that is, it will ignite the activity of building those bones again, of the healing process, the remodeling process completion. And then, as I said, we're bringing on some of the magic of the healing process that you can do. This is, after all, a holistic education class, and we're a holistic center. And that's where we bring in other kinds of modalities that we can use and practice ourselves to help. Okay. So short-term monitoring blood turnover markers. Again, why these tests are so helpful. They're easy tests. You measure the progress of your treatment plan, whatever that is. If everything's going in the right direction, keep going. If not, you need to change something. These are also called blood turnover markers. There are two types. The CTX, which tests for osteoclast activity. Those I call the crushers, so I can always remember if it's osteoclast, it's a crusher. If it's a P1NP test, that's looking for the osteoblast activity. Those are builders. And these are recommended by two organizations formally, but used a great deal amongst functional doctors and MDs who do know what they are capable of doing. But the International Osteoporosis Foundation and the International Federation of Clinical Chemistry and Laboratory Medicine have both recommended these.
On my side, I would add one thing. To be honest with you, there are even more markers out there. I personally know 9 of them that could be actually used there. But as Deb previously stated, they are the most common to be used because international organization has proclaimed that one. And I agree with them definitely that it is very useful. The other ones, if you would be if you would desire to use them, they will be, first of all, way more expensive. Not every hospital will actually utilize them to make you a test for those. And a third one, they would be less accommodating for information than those two.
Right. Now, if you want to read about all of them, they're in here. But these are the two that you're going to need to know most practically. Yes.
I know these markers related to the bone
Density.
Yes. Yes. These, okay. Yeah, because you want to know, remember I described the remodeling process? Because every single day there's like, I understand something like 5,000 times.
Someone is asking to accept them.
Okay. Oh, right. We have one more party coming in. Okay. So your bones are constantly in motion, like everything else. Cells are dying, cells are getting old, cells are broken. And so the process that's here is called the remodeling process. Makes sense? If your kitchen's really old and outdated, you remodel it. So this is remodeling. And there are two components. Your body knows that there has been a little break, or your body is not healthy. There's too much inflammation. There's something wrong. And the remodeling process, which should be about equal, well, not equal exactly, but it's a 1:0 ratio or something.
The homeostasis is supposed to be balancing. If gradually it shifts to the decrease of the bone mass, especially because of the necessity. The organism always treat your bones as a storage of your calcium, and that's why it's more shifted towards decrease. Yes,
Okay.
and as the time goes by, your ability to consume calcium from the diet decreases, and that's why it is shifts even more. Or there could be underlying illness or underlying cause.
Yes,
of that.
so many reasons, right? So
Yes.
many reasons that you have more breakdown going on than building. It's not keeping up. And that's very typical. We'll get into a little more of this. And it gets to the question about, we'll talk about the medications in just a minute.
Let me make sure we answer that question. Your body is always in the process of building bone and always in the process of breaking down bone. And you don't want the breaking down get too high, and you don't want the building to get too high either. So it's a balance, and that's what we're looking for. The markers will tell you.
Exactly. So this is functional medicine. When you measure something at the beginning, so you have a baseline, and then you do some treatment, and then you measure again, you're finding out if you're going in the right direction. If the treatment that the doctor or yourself or whomever, is it working for you? This is functional medicine. So whenever you hear that term, that's all it means, really. And when you think functional, I think, oh, that's practical. And it is practical. Obtaining a baseline scores of BTMs, that's the bone turnover markers, before treatment is the only way to determine what therapy will provide the most benefit and if that therapy is working. That's from Dr. Keith McCormick's book. Okay, and now here's one of the issues that we come up against. Your MD probably wasn't educated about these. I mean, has anyone in this room who has known about these, if you have talked with your doctors yet to ask for them? Okay, so when I did, she did not know what they were. She's functionally trained even at some point in time, but she's not a specialist in bones. Endocrinologists seem to be more specializing in bones. So I'm in the process of now locating someone locally who will know what these tests are and know how to use them. And so if the bone turnover markers show that you're really breaking down bone at a very, very fast pace, that's the CTX scoring, then you really might need to short-term consider some medications. But first, of course, you will probably want to try, if it's not too high, you'll want to go with some natural medicine approaches before you try the medicines. But a doctor is going to be the person to help you figure that out.
Usually, so far as I know from what I have read, in United States, they commonly use those markers to determine cancer more rather than your bone density. You see, they even based to the exams they have for medicine, like USMLE exam, they first will be thinking denser score, and that's it. If you would be having issues with markers, they will be going, first I need to pinpoint, does he have oncology, and so on. They will be, if it's only osteoporosis, they'll be thinking firstly only about DEXA.
Okay, yes, exactly.
That's the reason.
Right, the DEXA is the gold standard measuring the bone density. However, that's only half of the story, as we know from some of our previous editions. We'll get into some more things as we go. But in regards to the Prolia, you were asking about that. Do you know anything about that one, Dr. Jarlsberg?
Prolia, I'm sorry.
Prolia, do you know much about that?
No, it's a trade name.
Once every 6 months injection for osteoporosis.
Some of them could be actually even new, brand new, and they are appearing on the market constantly. I cannot have a record of that one. I will look it up and tell you on the next schedule.
Yeah, that one's been around.
Okay.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That means it's just local to
Yeah.
United States and it's actually a trade name. For me to know what this
Yeah.
medication is, I need to first know under Prolina what is actually the main ingredient, basically the active ingredient, what is, and this is the actual medication. It's just how they do it. They make a drug, they use active ingredient, which is this name, like acetaminophen, and they would be, oh, we need to name it somehow because it's our drug, not someone else's drug. Oh, let's call it pain relief gun and something like that. See?
So even,
Oh, I'm
oh,
sorry.
no, go
I
ahead.
was gonna say, I heard though, if you get on it and you don't go off with the, if they don't put you on it the right way or take you off.
Yeah.
There is a
But-
lot of I'm sorry.
Yeah, let me just segue us back over to the book here. So when you get into this level of depth, that's chapter 14, we're on chapter 6. So we will get there. However, you are welcome, on Amazon to buy this book because he's really detailed a lot in here. And what Darlene was just saying about if you do have Prolia injections, that there are some dangers to it and it's difficult to get off of it. And yeah, you can be in worse shape after the medications. You might be fine for a while, but when you stop and you have to stop, or I think it causes cancer or something. So
Well, there's a lot of medications that people can get used to. From my experience and from my education personally, the drugs that you are prescribing to the patient should supposed to be helping them undergo the situation right now. And you have to find the root cause and eliminate the root cause of the issue. If you would not be eliminating the root cause and you'll be just prescribing the medication to relieve the symptoms right now, or the only outcome of it would be just increase of the dosage until the threshold will be taken over to. And this will be the end result. You would be taking the medication and it will never be effective at all. And if you will stop taking the medication, your organism was already used to this medication and you would have a huge drawback in symptomatic.
yeah, so it's a very deep topic. And for anyone who does want to talk specifically to Dr. McCormick, please see me afterwards because there are some opportunities for that. Any one of us here can hire him, if you will. We can go get a consult from him online. He's in Massachusetts, but you would need to send him a lot of information. So see me about that. And there's something else in a small group thing that may be happening, that is happening in a couple of weeks. So if you're very interested in speaking with him about your case, then see me. Okay. But chapter 14, so lots of stuff there. But the bone turnover markers, you need to know that in order to make a good determination, and you need to know root causes and you need to have eliminated things before you just go on drugs. Okay, so the two main BTM tests, these are a little more details about them. The CTX and it's the words are pretty long. The P1NP is like 3 lines. So we'll just stay with these high level monikers. CTX, it's best to get a baseline test before menopause sets in. And while you're at it, get a few other hormone tests. You might find out some things about your thyroid, your adrenals that you can address naturally. Or you might need something for those as well from the medication line. It's the heaviest bone loss occurring during the first 5 years after menopause. So that's why it's ideal to get a baseline before menopause. And then it's independent of bone mass density. This is an independent thing. It is not anything to do with bone mass density testing. Okay, except that you need to have all of these things for a whole picture of what's going on. You need to have the DEXA, you need to have these short-term tests, you need to have some other things we'll talk about. And then see page 144 if you want to really look up the therapeutic targets for pre and postmenopausal women and men. There's a very nice table in there that you can refer to. Now, P1NP is the most sensitive bone formation marker. And when it's lower than 20, and what does UGL mean? Micrograms, okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a measurement. So when it's lower than 20, that indicates there isn't enough osteoblastic activity to keep up with the osteoclast. You're breaking down more than you're building. Okay. Above 60 may indicate excessive bone turnover, usual for osteoporosis. If it's over 90, there's high concern for fracture. Up to half of them are silent fractures. Have you seen people with the dowager hump where they're bending forward a lot? Well, they've had little tiny successions of microfractures that they maybe didn't even feel, but now they really can't straighten up. And that goes unnoticed. So before we get into osteocalcin, though, I just want to make sure you guys kind of on board with this whole bone turnover thing, and you know there's 2 tests. Okay, so when you do ask for those tests, you may need to educate your doctors. And this book is really useful. So there's a couple of pages on those very 2 things that we just covered that any clinician should be able to go in and see and then understand that this is going to give them good information.
May I ask a quick question?
Yes.
To the first pre-menopause, clearly many of us are post-menopause.
Yes, right. So you go with,
So is that a moot test?
no, even if you do it now, let's say you've just found out that these tests exist and you are not in a good place. You know from your DEXA that there seems to be concerns from the DEXA. You've been diagnosed with osteopenia or osteoporosis. Okay, so there you are. Well, let's find out where that is. And then that can be compared to what would be considered more normal. And then what you do is you change up, you get a treatment plan with your doctor or with your practitioner of whatever kind. You get something changing in your lifestyle. You change your sleep, you change your food, you look for root causes to change. And then as you get onto a program, you measure again in 3 to 5 months. Particularly though, if you go on a drug, you want to measure sooner than a year or 2 out. You want to measure soon to see if you're going in the right direction. Do the functional measurements shift in the right direction? So that's what you're looking for. Make sense? So the answer is yes.
That is for people that are pre-menopause.
Oh, no. Sorry.
It is a recommendation to start paying attention to this test for premenopause women, because at that point there would be a huge change in your homeostasis in your body, and you would like to pay attention to this. You see, you were good and healthy and stuff like that, but during menopause and post-menopause, your organism became like brand new. Something has happened, and you want to monitor what was the change. See?
Right. So,
and I would recommend. I'm sorry about that one. I would recommend you to do multiple tests, like you did it in 2017, for example. Okay, I had it normal, or I had a very slight change. Change or decrease, and like you would do it 2 or 3 years later to monitor. That's what it's called, to monitor your condition. And good doctor will look at those results with a change of numbers during the years, and we'll see the dynamic of how your organism holds.
right. So these functional tests, wherever or whatever kind of situation is going on, maybe you have something like leaky gut, or you have a precancerous condition, or you have a pre-diabetic condition, anything. There are measurements, there are simple blood tests for most of these things that will measure and say, okay, you're kind of within the normal ranges, or you're not, you're on the edge. So you don't want to stay on the edge. You don't want to be too low and too low or too high. You want to get a little more sweet spot. you don't want to move into diabetes, right? So you're going to measure, then you're going to change your food, and then you're going to measure. Ah, I've made a big difference. Great. Now you know that's a lifestyle you want to continue. So it's the same thing with bones. You're going to find some things that may have caused, and usually there's more than one thing that causes a problem like that. So there's for me, for example, just to segue to my own story, I had osteopenia. I was diagnosed on the very verge of osteoporosis when I was 42 years old. And then I didn't do much about it, but then it got worse. Okay, you know how this goes. Then we moved to Florida and I got more sunshine. David put me on a shake that had nutrients that my bones really needed. And I suddenly, and a few supplements, and I got better. I could, the DEXA measurements showed it. My body felt different. I mean, I was waking up with pain in my hips and I couldn't go back to sleep for an hour or two. I knew something was wrong. The minerals were being drained from my bones. I could feel it. So it was bad. So then I corrected that. And then I went on my merry way and I kept all of my pretty good habits going on. But then I went, you know, I'm well past menopause there. And my hormones were going down. We're going to talk a lot more about hormones next time. So I've had to relook because now I'm in full osteoporosis. The last measurement was, I now needed to do something more. So I went looking for answers as you guys are looking for answers. I found the Great Bones book. I found Dr. McCormick because he made so much sense. And he himself healed himself from osteoporosis. He was really bad. None of us in the room here are probably as bad as he. Maybe one is close, but none of us are as, and he was able to come back. The man's doing triathlons again. He's 68, 69 years old. He's amazing. So did he figure out how to use lifestyle, how to use medications, how to do it right? Yeah. How to measure, how to monitor? Yes, he knows. So he's one of the few. There's more than him. There has to be. But he's an amazing man and he's available to work with any one of us. So this is functional medicine. Measure where you are. Figure out what you can is the root cause. Measure, do things different. Measure again. Are you going in the right direction? That's really it.
I have a quick question.
Yeah.
Are they paying attention to vitamin D?
Oh yeah, vitamin D is definitely
Yeah.
discussed in here. Oh yeah, yeah,
Were
yeah.
they looking at that though when you?
Oh, well, of mine? Sure.
I was
Yeah,
just
yeah,
curious.
yeah. My vitamin D has generally been really pretty good.
Right, I know the doctors won't tell you though. They say, oh, that's okay, this number, it's like 30 something.
Hmm.
I've heard from the nutritionist, it's not okay.
No, vitamin D levels
Supplements,
depending on who you talk to.
Like in 50s, if my memory serves me right, there was still a borderline of a top measurement of vitamin D in your organism. But as the time goes by and more tests were occurring, they found out that there is not much of an upper border for vitamin D because, first of all, it is more like a protective element from the biology perspective for your organism, because when you have a sun radiation, vitamin D is used as a media to counter that one, you see? So to protect your organism from this radiation. And there was no, and if there would be too much, if organism thinks it should be too much, it will be sending it as a metabolite to utilize it whenever it can. So there's not really an upper body because there was no actually any physical case ever to be intoxicated with vitamin D.
Yeah.
Once we have it, we'll say, oh, here's the draw line.
What I see in the functional literature is like 50 to 70 is a good measurement. That's what I see. But anyway, so So let's move on to this thing called osteocalcin, which we really need this in our bodies. It's a protein. It's produced by the osteocytes and the osteoblasts. It acts as a hormone and has numerous biological functions. It helps produce bone collagen. Aha, yeah, we need some of that, a lot of it. It kicks off the osteoblasts to build after the CTX crushing activity. That's the key here for the bones. Regulates the rate of bone formation. And it's an easy, inexpensive blood test that measures it. It also has many other functions. There are brain functions, pancreas functions, small intestine, muscles, adipose tissue. I said, what's that? And it said, regulating blood glucose. Oh, I need that. And then testicles even, and more. So the body is so intricate that it's just amazing to me to find out all these things that it does. I'm just going to pick up one other one from here to read to you. If I can find it.
On previous session, we were discussing that calcium is utilized in many tissues and is required because this is basically one of the ions that would be regulating or even working in the muscles. It is used as a part of the receptors to control some metabolic effects like we received it, okay, got it, here's calcium to send it to you so that we received it. Or when there is a muscle constriction and dilatation to pump the ions back and forth.
Right. So under muscles, it says it promotes the uptake of glucose into muscles for more strength and power and the breakdown of fat for sustained energy. And then it goes on and on and on. I mean, it does a lot more things. But this is part of the marvelous way our bodies work. And there's two forms of it that the book talks about. And in one form, it's used for this bone formation. And in the other form, when that's done, it goes out into the bloodstream and it does all of these other things. So if it doesn't happen in the bones, that activity that we just talked about for the muscles and activities for all of these other things are also impacted. So our bones, our skeleton is a base for so much that we don't really recognize. We take it for granted too much. So if osteocalcin levels are showing too low, that may indicate that osteoblasts aren't keeping up with the osteoclasts. There's too much bone removal, inadequate building. If it's too high, the entire bone remodeling activity may be abnormally accelerated. Again, this often happens in the first 5 years after menopause. So, and osteocalcin, this is very good to know because you need to be concerned with ensuring you're eating this or taking it in. Osteocalcin requires vitamin K to be able to attach to the bone and do its thing in helping remodel and form bone. Isn't that cool? So you got to have some vitamin K. Yes.
Are there symptoms related to those particular?
Let's go back.
Sorry, what?
Are there symptoms related to too low? If it may indicate that osteoblasts aren't keeping up, well, the first one is osteopenia and osteoporosis, right? And too high means that everything may be accelerated, which also could be osteoporosis. So these are both.
Are there symptomatic
messages to the person? So what did I feel? I felt my bones were being, I didn't know it at first. It came upon me as kind of a realization over time. I'm waking up at 3 a.m. and my bones hurt, my hips hurt really bad.
To the touch or to?
No, it woke me up. It just was pain. So you may have pain. You may not feel osteopenia. You may, what else?
For doctors, usually would be the key element is amount frequency of bone breakdown. If person have too often fractures, I would be thinking, there could be a problems with bone density. I will go for a DEXA scan for him and see what's going on. The pain that people can feel, it is not often the case. Some people will not have a pain, but will actually have osteopenia or osteoporosis. Pain over there means that nerves that are actually in the bones. Yes, bones have nerves. If you didn't know about that one, if you have a fracture, it will be way too painful, even to the touch. Same here. She basically patient will be feeling constant small fracture occurring in the bones. Let's say it that way, and this gives a pain.
So that may have been what it was for me. I was
Yes.
experiencing small fractures.
Microfractures, that's what they call it.
Mhm.
So they talk about symptoms. Chances are you won't know because everybody feels symptoms
Yes.
differently. And so it's you probably won't know without the measurement.
That's a valuable addition to the.
So the key symptoms for the doctors and probably for you guys, frequent fracture of bones.
Mhm. Okay. So, yes, good questions. Thank you. Did I skip one?
No, probably not.
No, okay, okay. So this is just a word about the gut. We went over this in our last session, but you really are not just what you eat, you are what you absorb. And as we get older, oftentimes we don't have as much what the Chinese people call fire,
Mhm.
digestive fire. Absorption can be impacted by age. It can be impacted by gluten, medication, lifestyle issues of all kinds, toxins, and more. So lots of things can hit us. We help people reverse that kind of issue here. All sorts of digestive issues come to see you, don't they, Dr. David? Yeah. We make sure that we're combining foods when we eat, we're combining foods with vitamin K2 or that we're taking vitamin K2 on a daily basis to help us absorb our calcium and to create the bones that we need. So natto and tempeh are a couple of things that help with that. And Jarlsberg cheese, you're going to sample that today. It's a type of Swiss cheese, very unusual in terms of what it can do. The highest calcium food that we know about is black sesame seed. It's a whopping load for a small seed of really absorbable calcium. So many pills, I mean, there's a whole topic, we could get into that, but so many pills are just not the right thing. They may be harmful rather than helpful. So we like food. Collard greens, bok choy, and kale. And do note that these foods also have a lot of other minerals that we need and vitamins. And how much calcium do you need? Well, this is an important number to know. 1,200 milligrams a day for women who are over 50 and men over 71. So 1,200 milligrams a day. That's a fair amount of calcium that we need.
A small detail about black seed. Don't forget to chew them well or crush them before you eat them so that the nutrients from the seeds will go inside and not outside.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Okay. So I tend to consume them in my smoothie on a regular basis because
Yep.
of that. But you could put them on salads and you better chew them well.
Yes, indeed. Chew your food before you swallow.
Okay. All right. Gluten issues and sensitivity testing. This is a huge topic that we're just barely going to go over the top of, but I could turn you on to lots of different functional medicine doctors who work with people all the time in this realm. You can come talk to any one of us and get lots of details. But this is what Dr. McCormick says, and I think this summarizes it very well about gluten. A healthy gut leads to healthy bones. Eating foods with gluten damages villi in the small intestine, compromising their ability to absorb sufficient calcium and other nutrients needed for bone health. Even gluten sensitivity without the actual damage to villi can increase a person's risk for osteoporosis because of its activation of the immune system. It's toxic, it's inflammatory, it's wheat. You know, sorry. But the good news is this is not 30 years ago when it was hard to find gluten-free. You can find gluten-free pretty readily now. all kinds of products. Restaurants have GF on the menu. So we don't have to go there. We really can stay clean of that. And I encourage you to. In fact, if you're looking to lose weight, you'll lose weight, you'll feel better, your brains will be clearer. It's just such an amazing thing when you get off of that. Yes.
Is that wheat like current wheat or has that always been wheat? Like, you know, as we're over processing wheat
Yeah.
so much.
It's, go ahead.
Gluten is actually the protein that is was always with wheat, but as the time goes by and people needed more energy stored in a wheat itself, so that would be more nutritious, I would say. They accumulated it by the selections. So
Yeah.
yes, it increased.
Breeding. So it has increased with the breeding over the centuries and thousands of years, probably from where it originally started. So can you get away with eating it in Italy? Maybe
Yeah.
once in a while.
Yeah.
Can you get away with white bread from a grocery store here? Oh, no. How much poison would you like? Okay. So, and again, your MD probably was not educated about food. And they will have drugs for an answer. We have food for an answer. Okay. A variety of tests are available to find out if you have gluten problems. But just know that if you're eating gluten, you have problems. You just know it. A variety of tests are available, including stool analysis, biopsy, and blood tests that will help you determine what level of problem you may have. Okay, so I want to close up that section and just see, are there any other questions in this realm before we move into something that is what we can do about the magic that we have? We good? Okay, Dr. David, I want you to come help these people understand a little bit about a creative.
Should I sit in this chair?
You can sit in that chair. I know you're used to standing.
Well, this is the chair with the camera for the online people.
What about bone?
Well, it's the nutrients for your, it's from bones, so it has nutrients to build bones.
So,
Yeah.
As Dr. I'll go in more detail on this one. Basically, when you're doing bone broth, no, let's say this way. First of all, if you want calcium to go into the water that you have, you can even just boil eggs. Yes, it is funny, but it is actually like that. You boil the eggs, like hard boiling the eggs, and the water inside will already contain small amount of calcium. The more you boil, the more calcium will be inside. Same goes with the bones and bone broth. But the thing is, bone broth will be actually containing what? More protein. Protein that is also big part of your bones, and not only bones, but also your ligaments and joints. So you will be helping not only your bones, but also your cartilage.
Cartilage,
So
yeah.
bone broth is good.
Yes, a good thing, but be careful because when you are consuming bone broth, there will be a lot of fat incremented in it because bones has fat. And if you have underlying conditions that actually can, prohibits you to consume too greasy food, be aware of it.
Yeah, yeah, there's several things that you may want to check out. And there's different qualities, you know, bone
Yes.
broth, there's so many things.
What if you're making your own from organic chicken?
Chicken broth would be containing more. No, I would say that way. Chicken broth is very light. It's American chicken is very fat, I would say, to be honest with you. It contains a lot of fat, so it doesn't matter which broth. Cow broth would be the most containing fat, but if you want calcium ratio, it just depends on how much you will be boiling it. Yes, I cannot measure because it's too expensive and too little money you will get from the research of doing any broth.
Yeah.
Yes. So we don't have a specific.
Yeah, no one's gonna pay for that research. Okay, so magic, right? We're talking about magic. And in Chinese medicine, we're always talking about qi. A lot of you have really heard me talk about this in the past, but I really can't say it enough. And we talk about chi, which is essentially, in this case, we're talking about your blood chemistry. It goes on inside your body. And I usually tell people the way they can to understand it is, has anyone ever had a belly laugh where you just were laughing so hard you cried a little bit, you know? You know, if you ever done that, you know something changed, because as soon as you did that happened, you felt exhilarated, right? You felt something changed in your body. It's physical. It's not some emotional little out there thing. It's physical. And so that's one good example of how you can change your body chemistry just by, enjoy joy. Another other example I point out is fear. Anybody that's had a close call has had something almost happen to them, and they felt that shaky feeling after the event. Their body, what happened to their body is that it reallocated the resource. The fear you felt reallocated your resources. All the energy in your body went to your muscles, so you can run or fight. And your brain, you don't need calculus if you're being chased by a lion, right? What you need to have is hyper awareness. Essentially, PTSD symptoms would be very functional for you if you're being chased by a lion. How fast am I running? Should I fight? Should I run then fight? Should I fight then run? Can I pick up a weapon? Can I? You're making very quick decisions with your brain. But poetry, this won't do any good at that point in time. So that part of your brain gets all the resources. And so what we're talking about is the emotional thing that you can do that changes your resources. Well, there's good news here, though. I mean, that sounds like bad news, but remember the belly laugh, right? You can reallocate your resources back through joy, through love, through gratitude, and all these other emotions that you can feel. And so many times we live our lives, certainly in America, where we're watching the TV and we see this news channel that's getting us all excited about, oh boy, those guys are doing something terrible. Oh no, what's going on there? And of course, we get all emotional, and that takes our needle and pushes us way over, to almost fight or flight, because we're full of anxiety. And it changes our chemistry and reallocates our resources. So if you're trying to build bone, it says, well, you don't need to do that. Worry about, get your muscles so you can fight or flight. And so it reallocates your resources in a way that's not going to help you build good bone. And people do that. They'll watch the news and maybe they'll have it on all day. Some people do. And that's constantly barraging their mind with this whole set of chemistry, because your body's designed that way. Also, people often pay attention to the negative things. If you're driving down the street and someone honks their horn at you and yells and screams and flips you the bird and speeds off, you remember that. You're thinking about it 2 hours later or 5 hours later. What happened to me today? But there might have been 10 other people on that drive that gave you room to move in or were considerate, and they did things to accommodate traffic and work well together in the community, right? And you might not have noticed all those things because you're a problem solver, and that wasn't a problem, so you kind of ignored it. So people oftentimes ignore all the beauty that's around them and all the greatness and wonderful things that are around them, even in the face of terrible adversity. I know, and there are many good things that are happening. And so your body can react to that. And so if you start noticing all the beauty, the blood chemistry is going to change because you're in a different place emotionally. And you start noticing your gratitude. You're grateful for this beautiful weather, a flower. You don't have to be grateful for very much. I mean, you don't have to win the lottery to have gratitude. You can be just grateful for, I tell people, just a single breath. Just breathe in and feel grateful for that breath. We actually even have someone here in the room that can help you with breathing exercises. And gratitude would be a part of that. I tell people to try and, if you've ever been in a swimming pool swimming underwater and you go underwater maybe a little longer than you should, and you finally get to the surface and you breathe, remember how good that breath felt when you got to the surface? if you can conjure up that gratitude of that breath, that will also change your body chemistry. It's going to change we would say qi in Chinese medicine. Essentially, it's going to switch it and diminish the amount of cortisol that's in your blood. It's going to, the adrenaline's going to be diminished. And so you'll get a different whole chemistry that'll help you build better bones and help you build better health in general. So it works on not just your bones, but everything. People often think of their bones like it's a structure, like a physical hard thing. They see a skeleton sitting there, the big plastic skeleton, they think that's what the bones are. But the bones are a living organism, your whole set of bones, they're alive. And they contribute, like Deborah was talking about, in so many ways to your overall health. You're building blood, you're building all kinds of these things in the bone. It's making nutrients that your whole body needs. And so your bones are very active in making your whole overall health complete. And so don't think of them as just a hard thing you're using as a structure. It is an active living organism that's changing and on a daily basis, making you're healthier or unhealthier if you're abusing them, right? And I think I covered it, right?
Okay. Yeah.
Essentially, the magic is you have it. You have, I don't know, some people say God created us, but God created us in a very marvelous way. We have a knob we can turn to change, and we can decide how we feel about something. Something bad happens, we can decide if we're going to feel bad about it or not. An event happened, we get to choose the emotion response we get. And so I say choose wisely.
Well, okay, and there's a secondary part to this because you get to participate and do something now. Okay, so the creative powers of our minds are accessed in many ways. Deep breathing, and Candy, would you raise your hand in the back there? If anyone does not know Candy Love, this is Candy Love. And you really want to talk to her afterwards if you want to know anything about your energetic health in terms of breathing, yoga. There is a class tomorrow for anyone who already knows standing poses that is focused on bones. It's a standing pose class tomorrow here at 1:30. At 1.
It's a long workshop.
It's a
Our workshop, I mean, real experience, not expert, but you have some knowledge. You don't have to do them well or even like them. It's a matter that you have some familiarity.
Yeah, so that we offer that. And every Thursday night, Jenny, would you raise your hand? Jenny would meet with you and work with your mind and emotions using emotional freedom technique, which is based on the Chinese meridians. So wonderful sessions that she does, group sessions with people learning how to use that. It's also called tapping. So you may have heard about that. So these are two ways that we have. And Jenny's going to give a session next time and walk us through some, okay? But right now, what you get to do is, Dr. David, would you help me pass some of these out? And there's some pens, and I will pass out at the front. And then, okay. And then Jarlsberg, yeah, you would start passing on this direction. So you're going to get a little piece of paper there, a little card. You're going to get a piece of paper with some options on it.
Oh, thank you.
So you have to do one more thing. Oh, you ordered it. You're good.
Oh, yeah, he's fine. He does stuff like that all the time.
Everybody need a pen that doesn't have a pen or pencil? Okay, okay, good.
Got your little card?
Yes, all right. So now we're putting you to work. Yes, indeed. So what is an affirmation? An affirmation is something that is personal to you It is short, and it often, not always, but it often begins with I am, because you are looking in the present moment for the gratitude that Dr. David spoke about. So we can be in one physical state, and maybe someone broke their arm, but they can envision when their arm is not broken. So this kind of thing works on our emotions, it works on our physical body, it works on internal workings of our body. So if I say I am healthy, that sends a message to my body through that blood chemistry that he was talking about. So I wrote a 2 when I thought, well, I don't have an affirmation for my bones. So I put together a simple 2-liner. Today, my bones are nourished and strong. I am happy. I am happy, confident, and free.
The
So-
magic happens when you feel it. You know, that's where the magic is. If you sit here and say, I think I'm scared, you really don't feel scared, it's not going to make you shaky. You're not going to feel that, you're not going to have the impact. But if you feel that fear, that's when it makes you shaky. Or you feel that joy, the gratitude. When the magic happens when you feel it, not when you think it. So it starts with thinking, but it's got to get deeper.
When you find yourself doing a deep sigh, you know, you've got it.
The wise men, one day say, thoughts are material. Think and it will occur.
Thoughts are material. Think and it will occur. Very nice.
it's
So-
I am versus I want or I think.
Correct. Thank you. Yes, I am, because this is a statement of truth, of being, of now. So if you start there, you'll come up with something really great.
So we're writing our own.
You're
affirmations.
writing your own. Now, how can you use this little strip of paper I gave you? Well, they're from something that I had handy. And I said, well, there's some good ideas out of here. You might find a word or an inspiration from one of the words or a couple words in your list that will inspire you to write something for yourself.
Or a synonym for a word you like better.
Yeah.
You write who you are. Thanks.
Want to write yours?
Why not?
Why not? I hope you on the Zoom part of this are participating as well. Here's an example of some of the words for those of you out there.
Oh, yeah, sure. We are blessed that we can breathe.
Yes.
Not everyone can breathe.
Right.
Like some people are right now on EVL and they are struggling to survive. Machine is doing breathing for them. So I'm grateful to universe and reality. That's what is this.
Okay, it looks like most people have completed theirs here, and hopefully you folks out in the Zoom land had an opportunity to write one as well. So I'd like to know, would someone here like to share theirs? Okay, Candy first. Candy, come on up. Well, so they can see you out in Zoom land.
Hi. So I put a couple together. I am confident and I am grateful for my commitment to my contentment.
Oh, that's even a rhyme.
I did the C's. I got the C alphabet.
Okay, thank you. And
That's-
Sylvia, did you want to share?
Yeah.
Do you want to come up or do you want me to read for you?
No,
Come on up.
Oops, I'm sorry.
I am spiritual, a team worker, unique, developing more wisdom as I read and learn from other people's life journeys.
Very good.
Nice.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay. So each one of these, test it, see if it brings a feeling of joy to your heart. And you can work with it. You can make different ones for different times or different purposes. Someone here has a new home and there's some great contentment in getting settled in. Yes, and it may not be there yet, but you know it's going to be there every day. Okay.
This would help with doing gratitude journey.
Yes, this
Very helpful.
gratitude journaling is a great thing
No,
to
I
do.
mean, using this.
Oh, the
guideline
little slip of
would
paper?
help.
Oh, yeah. There's lots of
There,
ideas.
there is a small, I would say, wishing rule that if you write something and put it under the pillow and sleep under it, it will come true.
Yeah, there we go.
Really?
Yeah, nice.
It's old folks back in Russia was selling it.
Well, you're sleeping on it. You're aware of it.
It's close to you when it's close to you when you rest, so that you will never forget.
So put your affirmations under your pillow. Good idea.
Does
Okay.
that work for you?
Well, it did.
Yeah.
It did. I forgot about this method. Probably I should redo it and revise it.
Yeah. See
It's
what
been a
you're
while.
gonna do next. So we are into the last segment of the class here. And before I jump into the food, I just want to make you aware that over by Jenny in the blue shirt in the back is a little sign up for the trabecular bone score software. And if you don't know what that is, I'll tell you briefly that it's the DEXA looks at the density, the TBS looks at the quality. Without knowing both, you don't really know the true answer to your bones. You're guessing. So 50% of women in the hospital with fractures had not been, even though they'd had DEXAs, they had not been diagnosed with osteoporosis because they may have had arthritis, which looks like a solid thing like the bone on the DEXA. But the interior of the bones is also very important. And this piece of software works on a DEXA machine and looks at the information differently, interpreting the interior of the bone. It's called the trabeculi. And it's a whole structure inside the bones. So we have effectively, I'm calling it a request for TBS software that I want to take to the marketing departments of various places around town that have DEXA machines, like Radiology Regional is my first one.
Yeah, good.
Yeah, and some of them actually have the software, but have not implemented yet. So I want to have at least 35 names. I think I have 22 now on my list. So there's a sheet on the left side near Jenny, and just sign up on that if you want to go into that list of people that I'm going to take with me. Hey, you're missing out on the market here. Marketing people, this is money. So we're very interested. Here's a group of people you can contact. Whoever gets it first, we're like on you. Okay. So then finishing up, the last section is on the foods for nourishing our bones. So today's star, there's actually two stars. The first one is Jarlsberg Swiss cheese. This increases osteocalcin. What did we know about that? Oh, we have to have that, enough of it, in order for our bones to be able to remodel, to be able to build properly. So it's supportive of the osteoblasts. Blood sample analysis. This was a small study. Yeah, it's a small study that was done with, I think, 90 some people. And they were all women. They took blood samples. And the analysis showed that the key biochemical markers of bone turnover, including osteocalcin and vitamin K2, increased significantly after 6 weeks in the Jarlsberg group. The other group ate camembert. And there's very different lipid or fat profiles in these two cheeses, as you might imagine, since this is a Swiss cheese. The conclusion of the study was a small daily portion of 57 grams may help to stave off bone thinning, osteopenia or porosis, without boosting harmful low-density cholesterol. That's suggested by the results of a small comparative clinical trial. It was published in the journal BMJ, Nutrition, Prevention, and Health. So it was a very interesting thing that came my way. And the woman who sent it to me, she's a retired doctor. And I just thought, because it's interesting to hear other people who've been through this. She is 81 now, I think. She says she sent this to some of her friends, me being one of them. After years, my bone density has improved 20% in my hip and femoral neck. 20%. Spine is unchanged. I'm hopeful. I started with this cheese. Being lactose intolerant, I do use a GI support, probably to break it down. Also, she's walking, she's on estrogen, and she's looking into some other things for vibrational therapies. That's a whole other world. Don't go in there without knowing what is a good machine, or you'll hurt yourself. She's okay. And 10 years ago, my primary wanted me to be on Prolia. As my osteoporosis was advanced, I refused. Now she's gone the natural route, and she has 20% improvement in her hip and femoral neck. So these things really do make a difference. Now I have a daily bone power-up shake, and it's pretty dense. Okay, so I'm not sure how all of you will take to it, but it does have a bit of taste of gingerbread, if you can imagine that as you're tasting it, because it's got cinnamon, it's got ginger in it. It's got a lot of things. It's got plenty of protein per serving. I think about 30 grams of protein in this. And how much do you need a day if you have osteoporosis, or you want to make sure your bones are doing good? You want about 60 or 70 a day. So this one meal really puts me in a good place. And by the way, I'm going to give all of you who have your emails down, if attended today, you get this. I'm sending it out to you. Okay.
Is this OTC or something that you make from scratch?
I make this from scratch. Yeah. I'll go through what's in it. It's got plenty of protein. It's got antioxidants. It's got 5 anthocyanins just in the blueberries alone. That's really great for a lot of things about your health, including your immunity and your eyes. There's a lot of minerals in this. Black sesame seeds, black seeds. Remember we said black sesame seeds, what was their claim to fame? Highest in, what's one of the things we, calcium, yeah. Black seeds, which are cumin, essentially. Chia seeds, pumpkin seeds. I put 2 cloves in here. And really, you do not want to put any more than 2 cloves. And this is a full, you can see it over there on the table there. It's a full carafe, the big one. And I soak all of these in about 3 inches of water. Okay. And then I just leave that going while I get all the rest of it in there, and that's enough time. If you're just doing seeds and doing something pretty simple, but you just want to include seeds, maybe put them in overnight and let them soak overnight. That will also help to break them down so that they go in the smoothie well, and all the nutrients are broken down in your digestive system. I add Metagenics Advanced Protein Meal, cinnamon and raw cacao powders. And then there's cucumber in here, leafy greens, things like you could put kale. Remember the other list that was in here? Kale, collard greens. There's a lot of different greens that are great. Apple with the seeds. Yes, with the seeds, has procyanidin, really good for your immune system. And
I've heard somewhere that some people who were eating apples entirely, especially with the seeds, were living much longer.
Yeah.
I'm trying to check it by myself. I'm eating all the apples entirely. I hope to live till 107 years.
okay, good.
That's a goal.
It's a good goal. Okay. There's also blueberries, as I said, avocado with the seed. The seed has 150 anti-cancerous compounds in it.
Avocado with a seed.
Avocado with the seed. Now
Blend.
you need, yep,
Avocado you blend.
yep.
Oh, it's a blend.
You're blending it, remember?
Yeah, this is a Vitamix or a Blendtec kind of a thing.
Avocado seed?
Yep. Yep.
Really?
Yeah,
Wow.
they're not as hard as you think.
Okay.
Yeah. And it's also really good to have all of that fiber going into your digestive tract. It's really good stuff. There's ginger in here, as I said, ginger root, cilantro, and celery. Okay. And then I top it off with oat milk. Almond actually has oxalates, which bind to calcium. I don't want to have that as a problem. Now, there's one more ingredient, actually 2 on the next page that go in here. Every power-up shake and every single day, no matter what else I do, I take these 2 things. These you can buy on Dr. McCormick's site. They're a hydrolyzed collagen type 1. There's different types. Some of them will help you with your nail growth more or with your skin more. But this is specific to bones and cartilage. So this collagen I take every day. Plus the tall bottle on the left is a goat whey with calcium and potassium minerals. So I make this shake a bone building. These make any shake really a bone building formula. Okay. So are you guys ready to eat?
Yeah.
Okay, we've got more.
Could you go back to that one screen?
Okay. Well, that's right. You don't have, yeah. Okay. So any other final questions or whatever on this? And again, oh, that's next time. That's next time.
Is this once a month or is it?
This is once a month. We meet on the third Saturday of each month. And there's a great section in the book here. There's a great section in the Great Bones book. I also seen the same identical information if you're looking at brains and Alzheimer's. Yeah, same identical kinds of things in terms of the importance of having an estrogen level that's high enough. If you think about it, as we age, we tend to decline. People at different levels, particularly women, though, have more of a decline. 80% of people with osteoporosis are female. You know that probably. Why is that? Because there's this drastic, fast drop in our hormones. There are like 30,000 receptors in the hippocampus, I believe.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
So
for estrogen.
the thing is, estrogen is a huge cardiovascular protector. You see, you could think it that way. Females supposed to give birth. Females require to give birth a lot of strengthening on a womb, and this one stresses out the blood vessels and blood supply. And in order to alleviate the stress, evolution or God, whatever it is, create a mechanism in estrogen to protect your blood vessels. And females at early stages in their life have a very strong supply of estrogen. Males do have problems with that. You see, estrogen in our men would be always low, always. And this one endanger us on cardiovascular element. A lot of females would live longer, at least because of this factor, you see? Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes.
So we'll talk a lot about that next time because it's a deep topic. There's a lot of
Yes.
questions. And I'll see if I can get.
We would like to squeeze as much information into the presentations as possible, but it would be actually atrocious for you to consume all this information in one go.
Yes.
And not everything could be discussed very softly. So if we are simplifying something or skipping the material, it's not because we do not understand material. It is because for you guys, some details would be unnecessary. Because we are not teaching medical doctors. We just presenting you simplified version of the material.
Yeah. But my aim in creating this group was to share the journey because it's work to figure it out. And so if I'm going to work to figure it out, I'm held accountable with keeping up the work because I've got a monthly class, right? And I love having others be able to do some things because of what I've found and to be empowered and move in their lives and do the great things that you all do. Because I can't be you. I can't be you. You know, I can't be where you guys are. So to have you out there healthy, doing well, that's my joy. So
no one will live your life. Yep.
yeah, only them, only me, only you. Okay.
How much of the oatmeal?
Well, I just fill it up then to the top. Yeah. So here I'm going to yeah, I'm going to say, I think, goodbye to everybody here online because we're getting ready to go into the physical consuming of these lovely bone nourishing foods. So thank you for joining us.
And if someone was eating during the video, bon appetit.
Yeah. Okay.
About
Okay.
how much would that be? 16 ounces?
No, probably more. That is, let me go around here.
Once you have everything,